Hello and welcome to Stuart Warne RC. I'm Stuart Warne and this is my channel about my interests and experiences in RC. And again, the hope is that you guys are interested in this too and share that same passion. Very recently, I put out a video reintroducing my channel in terms of the things that I'd be featuring on there. And by that, I mean second-hand models. They really interest me, and there's a lot of scope in there for enjoyment and content and community. Reviews, I think reviews of new products with my, what you could call a industry perspective, as I've worked in the RC industry for over 10 years now. Reviews of new products, that will probably, I hope, become the bread and butter of the channel. But then in cahoots with the second-hand models, there's also second-hand engines, and I want to do a series on engines, specifically nitro or glow engines if you like. Now, just to give you a brief history lesson, if you got into flying as I did before the year 2000, most likely, and a little bit afterwards, most likely you would probably be powering your models with one of these engines, either a 2-stroke engine or a 4-stroke engine. That's because at that point, that was pre-brushless motor and pre-lithium polymer technology. But then, of course, after that, technology just really took the lead, and it's at the point now where if people are getting into the hobby, for the most part, they're probably only buying and flying electric models. So there's scope here for several different groups of interest. There'll be people that are like me that have been in the hobby for a good number of years and fly a combination of both. And hopefully you'll enjoy the reminiscing that is going through these older engines. Some of them are still in production, but basically it's an old generation of powering your models. Then hopefully there's the plug and fly generation that have only known electric but want to give something like this a go, and hopefully the information that I'll put out in this series will be helpful for you guys. Now the series itself, it's really going to focus on the second-hand element. So I'm going to turn this back around here. These engines, these are the engines I've collected over the past year or so. Since I've been back in Europe, I worked for Hobby King for a good many years. I was living in Hong Kong and then in Sydney, in Australia. That didn't really give me the chance or the need to run glow engines. I was developing electric powered models and flying only electric powered models. But then I came back to Europe and I went down to my old club and I had the smell, and it's the smell of nitro engines that really got me. It's that sense memory. And I remember thinking, I've got to get back into this. I really missed it. One thing I didn't miss is the gunk. If you look at these nitro engines, especially the 2-strokes, they have a lot of residue. And what that ends up doing, if you're not careful, ends up getting under the covering of the model and ruining the model. And that's actually one of the major contributors that put me off running nitro. That and the nitro fuel itself got very expensive. However, now I'm at a position where the engines are very cheap. Very cheap. It's ridiculous. This engine here, again on that second-hand element, this engine here I got for 10 euros. Now, just to give you a little history, this is an OS40 FX. This would have been close to 150 euros. I got it for 10 euros. Now, on the outside, it looks pretty clean. However, the shaft is seized. But I'm going to take it apart and strip it down and bring it back to life, and I want to show you guys that process. Again, I've learned a lot from Captain Blage and David McIntire. Again, I'll have links to their videos underneath this video. There's some great personalities out there on YouTube that are doing this kind of thing far better than me. I'm not an expert at this, it's just something I enjoy. But the series is going to be about finding these engines, stripping them down, cleaning them up, getting them running again, because that's a real thrill for me. Now what you've got to remember, these are living, breathing things. It's not like electric. These things have a soul for me. That's why I'm so interested in them. They have moving parts, they live, they breathe, they need air to survive, and it's also that whole history of my youth. And I think we'll probably find a lot of commonality with some of the viewers out there that are of the same generation for me. Anyway, the point being, I'm trying not to babble. The point being, there's going to be a series on engines in general, just bargain engines that I find, refurbishing them, bringing them back to life, and maybe a little more besides. For example, this engine here, this is an OS 160 Gemini that I've converted. Well, actually, I haven't converted. Captain Blage converted this for me.
I think the Stuart Warne will be one happy man all over again.
You can see his video. I'll link it underneath this video. He converted this for me because, well, what I mentioned before, nitro is very, very expensive nowadays compared to petrol or gas. So you'll find a lot of people converting engines from nitro to gas. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to do that. All I simply want to do is just share the sheer pleasure of finding engines cheap that should not be this cheap, but they are, restoring them, firing them up on the bench and bringing them back into life, and maybe we'll put them in some models too. So that is it. That's the introduction for the engine series of videos that will come out on this channel. And of course, when I'm not doing videos, I'll give brief updates on Facebook and on Instagram. And that's the only other thing to say. I do have a Stuart Warne RC Facebook page and Instagram page. You can find it on the channel here. So sorry for babbling, but that is the introduction to the engine series of videos. There's going to be one for the reviews and there's going to be one for the second-hand models too. But for now, I just had the opportunity, whilst it's raining outside, to introduce this series. I hope it makes sense as to what I want to do here. I hope it's of interest, and I hope I can get people that haven't necessarily had an exposure to nitro engines before interested, because these little things are cool. I think so anyway. And they smell really good too. You may think I'm weird, but you know, guys out there, you get it. You know what the smell is. It's all part of the fun. So thank you very much. Please like if you liked, subscribe, and check out Instagram and Facebook, Stuart Warne RC. Hopefully I'll see more of you very, very soon. Thank you. Bye.